Today we're going to redo and look into a really popular build that I had called the Warden. Now the Warden is a monk druid crossover class that uses elemental attacks with its main action and additional damage with its bonus. It's really cool. This is one of the quickest of my builds to go live. Right at level 2 you unlock the ability to flurry with blows with your bonus action, so you get to continue using cool druid magic while out damaging your teammates with them hands. So without haste, we can do major damage, or we can change the landscape, which we will be immune to, like putting up spike growth or plant growth, and on the same turn, running in and still doing a bunch of damage. Both the monk and druid's passive abilities work fantastic together, the monks being able to add their wisdom modifier to their AC, and with equipment to their additional attacks, lets us hone in our abilities just a single stat. This was one of my first videos to go really popular, so I'm really excited to do this role for redo. I'll have chapters below so you can skip around, but let's go ahead and start. Right out of the gate, we're going to start with Druid. The saves that you get with Druid are far better than you do with Monk. Cantrips, I always pick Guidance. It's going to be helpful for literally ever, and depending on if you can see Dark, Produce Flame is also really solid. For the abilities, obviously we want to main Wisdom as hard as we can, making Dexterity our top second, and I do dump a few of my stats to make sure I have a Constitution of 14. You can always dump Intelligence and use the Warped Headband to fill in that gap. That's what I suggest. Level 2, I jumped straight into Monk. Just grabbing one level here opens up tons of stuff. Now our Wisdom is added to our AC. We can use Flurry of Blows on our bonus action. Our Dexterity gets used instead of our Strength. It's sick. You get a lot from a one level dip in Monk. Next we switch right back to Druid. We're getting our level 2 here, and let's talk spells. First off, Druid spells are really sick, and I don't think they get enough attention online. Healing Word is always going to be helpful. Fairy Fire has got me out of tons of jams. Speak with Animals is one of the most fun spells in the game. And our next level opens up level 2 spells, and we get to pick our circle, which is going to be Circle of the Land. Land is going to come with a bunch of different options of what spells to pick. Honestly, Coast is my favorite one to pick from this first group. You get Misty Step, which is a fantastic spell, and Mirror Image, which will definitely save your ass, trust me. And level 2 Druid spells are pretty sick. Moonbeam is a fantastic spell, especially if you can choke people down into a single opening. Heat Metal, which is super helpful even in late game. Dealing damage and forcing it to have disadvantage or dropping its weapon. I mean, it's win-win either way if it makes it safe. And here's a trick. If you're fighting Grim in the Adamantium Forge, using Heat Metal will actually give him the effect of the lava without having the lava there. And of course, the best second level spell, Hold Person. Failing a Wisdom save means that all our melee attacks on them are critical hits, and it's upcastable, meaning if you use a third slot, you can get 2 people. It's fantastic. Our 4th level in Druid is going to give us a feat. I always use an ability score increase to make sure my Dexterity and Wisdom are up 1, giving us additional mods. And then 5th level, I stick with the Land Druid. This build now completely soars now that we have 3rd level spells. I like to choose the Mountain Land Circle choice. There's a bunch of good ones. I always suggest to choose whatever Land Circle ability that doesn't come with Druid. There's some haste options, but usually it comes with like Sleet Storm. I pick Grassland because you get Lightning Bolt and Flight, and those will always be very fun. Other 3rd level spells I suggest, Call Lightning, 100% get Call Lightning. I like to use Call Lightning as my attack, while my bonus action does my Flurry of Blows. That way I'm bringing down Thunder and hurting everybody in a huge area, and I'm still getting 2 creep attacks in. Sleet Storm is also a fantastic add, especially since we're going to be immune to terrain abilities later. Plant Growth. Get Plant Growth. It's non-concentration. It slows everybody down to a complete crawl, and you can run in and punch people while dropping lightning on them. It's absolutely sick. Here's where I spin off and go back to Monk. We're grabbing our 2nd level in Monk, which unlocks our other bonus action abilities like Patient Defense. But our next level gives us our subclass for Monk, and I chose Way of the 4 Elements. Now, our Monk DC is going to be the same as our Druid DC because it's Wisdom, and we're going to put all our equipment and ability stats to make our Wisdom as high as it can. So anything that our Monk does that makes a DC is going to be super dope. The Fire Serpent skill for the 4 Elements Monk is very fun. If you have gloves that are monk gloves that do additional elemental damage, it also gets add on to this attack, which is pretty sick, while making your weapon have a d4 of fire. The other one I pick is the Fist of the Broken Air. It's got a really nice shove attack onto it, so you could set up things like a wall of fire and just kind of punt them back in. And the last one I grabbed was Chromatic Orb. The Acid ability for the Chromatic Orb drops their AC by 2 for everyone in the area, and it's just super useful. The next level we're going to take is in Monk. We'll have the 4th level Monk opening up a feat, giving us an ability score increase, bringing our Wisdom to 20. Our next level goes to Druid, unlocking our ability to walk over any kind of terrain that we create, letting us run inside spike growths or plant growths or any kind of growth you pop up. Pushing forward into Druid, we're going to be unlocking 4th level spells. The next choice of land circles is kind of a mute one. Pretty much every one of the options is a spell that you can cast without this choice. But the Underdark gives you greater invisibility, so I picked that just to have it. We're going to have a really high dex, and if you specialized in stealth, you could put that to some good use. The last level, we get a feat. I use this to increase my dexterity to 18, but you've got a fun choice here. You could take Tavern Brawler, then take Giant Potions, or use the Hill Giant's Club to increase your strength to add additional damage to your offhand attacks. But as this build is focused on casting magic and then using physical attacks as a subcategory of damage, I went with the additional AC with the dexterity. As far as equipment goes, there's a ton that really augment this build as far as it can go. Staff-wise, I use 3 different staffs throughout the game. The first staff I use, Cornell's Grace. This is a staff that gives you bonuses based on the fact that you're not wearing armor. And we're not really going to be wearing armor. You can find this from Auntie Ethel in the Druid's Grove, or later you can buy it or take it from her. Either way, it's a great staff to have in the beginning. The next staff I use for most of the second part of the game is the Staff of Arcane Blessing. You can find this in the Arcane Tower in the Underdark, way at the bottom after you solve Bernard's little puzzle. And by puzzle, I do mean beating him and then taking the ring to get to the secret floor inside the tower. This staff lets you use an augmented bless that gives you additional d4s for your saving throws and additional 2d4s on spell attack rolls. Absolutely dope. The other staff I use is also in Act 2, I kind of swap them in and out, is the Morning Frost staff. Now this staff has a chance to make people chill, which is a condition that makes people vulnerable to bludgeoning damage, which, guess what? Your hands are bludgeoning. In game, I do like to use the Staff of the Ram. You get that at the end of Jahir's storyline at the bottom of her study. This has the ability to make people stunned without having a Stunning Strike. And because we're not going to be level 5 monk, we don't have Stunning Strike. So this is a cool way to just dish it out without having to take it. As far as armor goes, the Kashigo robes that you can get from the Slaver Dwarf, she's in the Forge. If you give her back the boost of haste, she will give you an option, whether this or a ring. I always take the Kashigo armor, it's really dope, it enhances your patient defense skill. But anyway, if you free the slaves and you beat her, you can take the boots back from her too and have both. In Act 2, you can find something called the Bided Time. These are robes in the morgue that gives you something called Arcane Charge if you're hit. Arcane Charge gives you additional damage to your magic. But in Act 3, you can just purchase the Vest of Soul Rejuvenation from the Sorcerer Sundries. Now this robe totally slaps. +2 to your AC, you heal a d4 every time you make a save, and every time someone misses, you can spend a reaction to always hit them. Like it doesn't miss, it always hits. Boot slot is easy. If you're doing a monk, you almost always are going to wear the Boots of Unbridled Kashigo. You get these for beating the Gith who are attacking the Emperor. So right after Act 2 you can get these. They add your Wisdom modifier to all your unarmed attacks. Gloves are a toss-up for me. There's tons of muck gloves, so it's really hard. I have 3 favorite ones. The Flawed Infernal gloves are really sick. Unarmed attacks do a d4 necrotic, and they become bleeding. You can get these from Daemon by trading him some Infernal ore in Act 2. There's also the Seraphic gloves. These are in the Creche. Well, it's before the Creche. It's in the Temple of Lathander. They do additional radiant damage on your unarmed attacks, unless you cast a level 4 Guiding Bolt for free. But there's a choice that you can actually get in Act 1 that I could totally see someone using throughout the entire game, and these are the Sparkle Hands. These Sparkle Hands give you lightning charges as you are unarmored attacking. Lightning charges both do lightning damage and increase the chance of you hitting and eventually doing additional d8 lightning. You can find those in the wetlands, kinda in the area where Auntie Ethel is, in a chest. I also really love using the Ring of Elemental Infusion. You can find this in the Creche. Every time you cast a spell that does some type of elemental magic, your weapon attack now does that elemental damage for a d4. You do have to have a weapon for this, so that's where the stick comes. Hey, thanks for watching the video, guys. I hope you liked it. Please leave a comment if you have any one of my past builds that you'd like to see a deep dive into. Big thanks again to my 2 Discord winners. We got Gallius and Cowboy Pat. I like to pick winners on Sunday from either my memberships or Patreon every week to win some free stuff. And I think I'm going to just do everybody for the next 2 weeks. So you should join the Discord and maybe you'll get one. Okay, thank you. Bye. Love you.